Power begins the moment you stop expecting fairness. The world isn't a story, it's a marketplace of hunger. Everyone wants something: validation, safety, respect, love, and most will trade their spine to get it. That's why they break. That's why they bleed. The one who cannot be manipulated isn't strong because he dominates. He's strong because he needs nothing he can't create or claim. Dependence is the true enemy, not cruelty. Master that, and you rise beyond reach. The deadliest weakness has never been fear. It's attachment. That quiet addiction to being seen. The moment you care, you've drawn your own map to destruction. Machiavelli never chased peace. He dissected it. He removed every part of himself that could be used as leverage. He turned affection into armor, silence into a weapon no one could touch. Because emotion is a flare in the dark. It shows the hunters where to aim. Every insult is reconnaissance. Every pause, a probe. Every betrayal, a test to see if you'll bleed on command. Stop bleeding, stop responding. Become the silence that unsettles the room. The man who governs his inner world wears no armor. His mind is the blade. His calm, the snare. His stillness, execution disguised as peace. This isn't numbness. It's refinement by fire. You will cut away what trembles. You will burn what begs. When you learn this law, pain becomes static. Betrayal becomes background noise. Loss becomes a small price for evolution. And when it's done, they'll search for your weakness. They'll find echoes. They'll find smoke. They'll find nothing. Someone once taught you the wrong equation. That caring equals strength. That emotion proves depth. That vulnerability earns loyalty. They weren't cruel, just blind. Because what passes for compassion in this world is often just exposure. The more you feel in public, the easier you are to predict in private. Every humiliation, every betrayal, it never happened because they overpowered you. It happened because they read you. They saw the flinch behind your calm, the hesitation behind your confidence. They used your sensitivity as a weapon. You called it love. They called it leverage. Pain has an architecture. It's built from repetition. The same emotional patterns, new faces, same script. You give, they take. You trust, they test. You react, they win. And each time you swear you'll learn, but emotion keeps writing the same story. Machiavelli understood what few ever will. Emotions aren't moral. They're mechanical. They exist to be observed, not obeyed. A ruler who reacts to insult loses his crown to mockery. A lover who reacts to distance loses the bond to fear. Reaction is surrender, disguised as honesty. Your weakness isn't that you feel. It's that you broadcast what you feel. The sigh, the pause, the nervous message. Those are signals, and predators read them better than words. If you want to change the game, don't fight the world. End the broadcast. Stop giving the map away. From this moment, collect data, not damage. When someone provokes you, don't defend, observe. When they withdraw, don't chase, calculate. Every reaction you withhold returns power you didn't know you'd lost. You begin to see through the illusion. Most people don't want truth. They want advantage. They'll call you cold, detached, distant. Let them. They're just describing someone they can no longer control. This is where detachment begins. Not in hatred, but in awareness. You see the machinery of emotion and choose to step outside it. From here, the real work begins. To dismantle the need for recognition. To erase the addiction to reaction. To master the quiet posture of the untouchable. Because the first law of immunity is simple. You stop letting the world decide when you bleed. Detachment doesn't begin with calm. It begins with withdrawal. Not from people, but from performance. For years you've been acting. smiling when uneasy, arguing just to be understood, apologizing just to be accepted. You mistook visibility for connection. The world taught you that if you explained yourself enough, you'd finally be safe. But safety never came. Only exhaustion did. Every explanation was a debt, owed to someone else's approval. So now you stop explaining. You stop performing for clarity. You let misunderstanding become your shield, because the more they guess, the less they can reach. Rule 1. Silence. Not silence as absence, but silence as architecture. You use it to see how others fill the void. Listen carefully. In silence, truth leaks. People rush to fill quiet with confession. Their tone, their tempo, their comfort or discomfort. It's all data. You're not withdrawing to hide. You're withdrawing to observe. Rule 2. Neutral observation. Stop naming experiences as good or bad. See them as information, an insult, recorded, a betrayal, classified, a compliment, tagged as motive. Each event becomes intelligence, not injury. Emotion used to be your lens. Now, it's your microscope. Rule 3. Delay reaction. Reaction is currency, and the world trades it daily. Every conversation, every argument, every post is a marketplace of speed. Who flinches first? Who speaks first? Who apologizes first? When you delay reaction, you interrupt the market. You create time. And time is the throne of control. Let seconds stretch. Let them wonder if they misjudged you. That uncertainty you plant is leverage. They'll correct themselves before you ever speak. Rule 4. Calibrate distance. Detachment isn't isolation, it's measurement. You don't vanish from the world. You position yourself just far enough that nothing touches your core. You attend the meeting, but keep your power offline. You speak with charm, but never with need. You love, but never with worship. Think of it as emotional gravity. They feel your pull, but can't reach the center. That center belongs only to you. Rule 5. Erase unnecessary empathy. Empathy without discernment is self-destruction. You used to absorb every emotion, thinking it made you kind. It only made you porous. Now, you choose what to absorb and what to observe. Someone's rage, let it pass like weather. Someone's flattery, note it. Don't bask in it. The world doesn't need more sponges. It needs mirrors. Reflect, don't retain. Rule 6. Ritualize composure. Composure isn't natural, it's trained. You build it the way warriors build reflex, through repetition. Each morning, practice indifference in small ways. Ignore the unimportant message. Breathe before replying. Walk slower than your impulse. Tiny acts of control become muscle memory for chaos. When real storms arrive, stillness will already be your default. Rule 7. Protect privacy like blood. Weakness begins with overexposure. You post emotions. You narrate pain. You invite spectators. Every confession is an instruction manual for manipulation. Detachment thrives in mystery. Let people see motion, never motive. Let them guess what fuels you. Because if they can't find your heart, they can't aim for it. Then something shifts. The noise of the world begins to fade. Insults sound rehearsed. Flattery feels scripted. You start noticing patterns. Loops of behavior that once consumed you now look mechanical. You aren't colder, you're clearer. You no longer swim in emotion. You walk on its surface. But detachment has a cost. You'll lose the illusion of being liked by everyone. You'll stop being the comfort for those who feed on your reactions. Let them call it distance. Let them call it pride. It's simply the absence of permission. Eventually, control becomes quiet. There's no performance left, only presence. You don't chase understanding. You radiate certainty. Your words shrink to essentials. Your eyes stop searching for confirmation. When people speak, you hear intent before sound. When they move, you see motive before motion. You've shifted from participant to observer, from prey to strategist. That's detachment, not escape, but command. You're not hiding from pain. You're redesigning where it lands. You build an interior so stable that the world becomes weather, not fate. Let it rain if it must. Let it storm if it will. You remain unmoved. By then, people will notice the change. They'll test you, poke the armor, try to resurrect the old reactions, smile. Let them perform their patterns. Respond only when it profits your purpose. Each time you refuse the bait, you forge another layer of iron within your calm. Detachment was the clearing. Power is what you build on that silence. When you stop reacting, people start to reveal themselves. They fill your silence with confessions, projections, and desperate attempts to decode you. They talk to earn a reaction that no longer exists. That hunger is your leverage. Control is never stolen. It's granted by those who crave the attention you've withdrawn. The first law of power, presence without pursuit. You don't chase rooms, people, or opportunities. You become the gravity they orbit. Your stillness, your consistency, your refusal to beg, that's the signal. You become the fixed point in their chaos. Understand this. Attention is obedience. When they wait for your reaction, they're admitting your importance. Never reward that anticipation. A glance, a pause, a delayed reply, these become your negotiations. Every moment you make them wait increases your value. The second law, precision. You used to bleed in paragraphs. Now you cut with sentences. Speak rarely, but when you do, strike deep. Every word must move something. Fear, respect, curiosity, silence. Never explain motives. Only describe results. Explanation humanizes. Prediction deifies. The third law, controlled unpredictability. Predictable people are programmable. A man who always forgives invites betrayal. A man who sometimes forgives, sometimes vanishes, terrifies. Power survives in the space between certainty and doubt. Let them wonder which version of you they'll meet. That uncertainty disciplines them better than rules ever could. The fourth law, emotional redirection. You don't destroy emotion. You weaponize it. Anger becomes focus. Sadness becomes analysis. Desire becomes strategy. Every feeling you master becomes an instrument you can play at will. And those who can't read your silence will misinterpret it. And that misreading is where control hides. The fifth law, selective exposure. Power breathes through mystery. Reveal fragments, never the frame. Show what serves your design. Conceal what sustains it. The more they assume, the more they miscalculate. And miscalculation is currency. Entire egos can be bankrupted by one unanswered question. The sixth law, discipline in solitude. Most decay in stillness. Their minds devour them. You train there. Silence becomes a forge. Each thought refined alone strengthens the armor around your clarity. Solitude is not loneliness. It's the laboratory where weakness dies and direction is engineered. When you re-emerge, every movement appears effortless because you rehearsed it in the dark. The seventh law, mercy as a mask. Power isn't cruelty, it's restraint. A predator who never eats in front of the pack commands more fear than one who feasts openly. Let them think you're kind. Let them mistake patience for softness. Mercy confuses the ambitious. It keeps them near, never sure if they're safe or studied. The eighth law, decisive endings. When someone or something no longer serves your design, end it cleanly. No warnings, no drama, no closure. Closure is for the sentimental. You exit without echo, and your absence does the haunting. That silence teaches everyone what betrayal costs. The ninth law, internal monarchy. You're both king and kingdom. Your thoughts are citizens. Your habits, laws. Discipline means ruling that inner empire with the same authority you project outward. Sleep when planned. Speak when useful. Move when profitable. Freedom without structure is drift. Power without order is decay. Every command you give yourself and obey cements the empire others will feel without understanding. And by now, something irreversible has happened. The world that once overwhelmed you begins to bend slightly when you walk. People moderate their tone before you respond. They measure words that once could cut you. It's not fear, it's calibration. They sense that you're no longer reactive matter, but a reflective surface. They can see themselves in you, but they can't touch you. This is the discipline of power, to remain untouched while touching everything, to alter a room with presence alone, to guide without speaking, to punish without violence, to be everywhere discussed but nowhere fully known. And when you reach this level, remember, real strength leaves no fingerprints. You move quietly through noise. You influence decisions you never attend. You rearrange hierarchies with pauses. You watch chaos dissolve in your calm. That is how the invisible conquer. They rule without announcement. They win without motion. They walk through storms and remain perfectly dry. From here, you no longer chase control. You are control. And the world, sensing that, begins to orbit your silence. By now the noise has faded. You speak less. You think slower. You no longer run toward chaos. You watch it dissolve. That stillness you've built isn't peace. It's immunity. Every person you once feared losing was an open door. Every emotion you once performed was a signal waiting to be exploited. But those gates are sealed now, and the silence surrounding you, it isn't emptiness. It's pressure. A world once deafening with distraction now bends beneath your quiet. Immunity doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means nothing decides for you. The immune man still bleeds, but his blood no longer calls predators. He walks through betrayal like through rain, aware of the weather, untouched by it. This is where most people stop. They mistake distance for mastery. But true immunity runs deeper. It is designed. It's the moment emotion no longer defines meaning. The first principle: interpretation is power. Pain doesn't define you, it obeys you. You decide what loss means, what rejection becomes, what silence signifies. A weaker mind reacts to pain. A sovereign mind assigns it. If betrayal becomes information, it turns into education. If rejection becomes proof of misalignment, it turns into redirection. Immunity is the authority to rename what once ruled you. The second principle: containment. Emotion still arrives, but it now reports to you. You observe it, categorize it, file it away. You don't broadcast, you don't confess, you contain, because every secret you keep strengthens your autonomy. Every outburst you suppress stores voltage for strategy. The immune don't repress emotion, they govern it. The third principle: non-dependence. Most confuse attachment with loyalty. They anchor their stability in others, partners, peers, validation. But immunity begins when those anchors are dismantled. You stop begging others to hold your peace. You stop letting affection dictate your mood. You stop granting approval the power to rewrite your identity. From now on, your worth is internal law, not public vote. You are both judge and accused, and your verdict is final. The fourth principle: calculated compassion. Do not confuse immunity with cruelty. You still care, but strategically. Your empathy is rationed. Your kindness is precise. You give where it multiplies value, not where it empties you. Even warmth becomes a decision, not a reflex. That's how you remain human, without surrendering control. The fifth principle: equilibrium under fire. The immune man's calm is his weapon. Most are puppets of stimulus. Praise makes them loud, threat makes them frantic. You stay still. You think while others react. And because you think, you win. Control is never about domination. It's about duration. The one who endures longer dictates outcome. The sixth principle: invisible strength. True power doesn't announce itself. Noise betrays insecurity. So you vanish into composure. People sense it before they see it. The quiet weight of someone who cannot be moved. You don't need to prove. You don't even need to respond. Your restraint becomes legend. And legends aren't explained. They're interpreted. The seventh principle: self-sufficiency of meaning. You've built a life that runs on internal current. You don't chase happiness. You generate it. You don't seek purpose. You embody it through discipline. This is the highest form of freedom, a state where the world can no longer trade your peace for its noise. By now, they'll call you unreadable, detached, different. They'll whisper that something in you changed. They're right. You stop being material for their games. You stop being reactive matter in someone else's chaos. You became the environment itself, unmoved, necessary, inescapable. And when they try to hurt you again, they'll find there's nowhere left to strike. Their words pass through air. Their silence loses its sting. Their betrayal has no purchase. Because you are no longer the creature they once wounded. You've become your own terrain. That's the law of immunity, to no longer live at the mercy of weather you didn't choose. You design your storms. You decide when to rain, when to thunder, when to clear. You don't heal. You evolve into something that no longer needs healing. And one day, when the world tests you again, you'll feel the old trigger spark and die out like a match in water. No reaction, no pain, only awareness, only power. Because the man who cannot be moved cannot be manipulated, and the one who cannot be manipulated cannot be conquered. That is the end of weakness. That is the beginning of sovereignty. From this point forward, no one and nothing will ever touch you again. There comes a moment when silence stops feeling like emptiness. It starts feeling earned. You've reached that moment. The noise that once commanded you now whispers, powerless, irrelevant. What began as chaos became calculation. Every wound became a teacher, every loss a transaction. What once shattered you now sharpens you. You don't chase peace anymore. You construct it. You don't search for validation. You radiate certainty. The world that once bruised you now bends quietly to your rhythm. You learned that emotion was never the enemy, only a reflection out of alignment. So you realigned it. You built walls from patience, foundations from refusal, armor from indifference. No rage, no pleading, no collapse, only command. You became a strategist of self. Your energy, currency no one can counterfeit. Your silence, language that bends conversations. You stopped defending. You started dictating. Every interaction now flows through one question. Does this serve your equilibrium, or does it cost it? If it costs, it dies where it stands. No drama, no closure, just elimination. You've reached the plane where presence replaces persuasion. Rooms adjust when you enter. Words slow down. Attention bends. And you don't even notice it anymore. Because control has become nature. You don't announce evolution. You demonstrate it through calm execution. The louder the world performs, the quieter your dominance feels. That's how real strength survives. Unseen, inevitable, absolute. Insults don't pierce. Belief shields you. Betrayal doesn't sting. Foresight expected it. You no longer fall. You observe descent from above. In this state, affection becomes permission, not dependence. Trust is measured, never promised. Compassion is precision, not impulse. You extend emotion like architecture, structured, selective, safe. What others call detachment, you call discipline. What they call mystery, you call mastery. Because now, your essence is governed by choice, not reaction, not desire, not need. You are no longer part of the storm's story. You are its balance, its gravity. The silence between lightning strikes. The world keeps spinning. You remain the axis it revolves around. There is no finish line. Sovereignty isn't a destination. It's maintenance. Each morning, you rebuild composure. Each night, you polish restraint. And with every breath, you confirm what the weak will never grasp, that the highest form of power is quiet control. So in the noise, lock the gates, stand alone in the calm you forge from ruin. The war is over. You did not survive it. You became its law.